Black Sheep Shipping presents an interruption. Content warnings can be found in the description. Has to be an edge or something somewhere. Wait, I saw that. Do you hear me? I don't think you're supposed to hear me. Can you help me? I should tell you who I am. Obviously, that will make you understand why helping me is so important. My name is actually Alexander Hanley, but I don't know why I say the rest. I just say it. It's like an intrusive thought, you know? It's my voice, but it's not me talking exactly. There's an odd moment now and again, but that's not really me. I don't really know why I said all that before now. Maybe you just tune in when I'm saying the right words in the right order. I say lots of things when I'm alone. I'm sorry. Let me start again. I'm Alexander Hanley. You can call me Alex because we're friends. I'm the head of marketing for the company. Formally, I guess. It doesn't matter. My position gives me a lot of sway over things. I have access to everything. Oh, you just did it again. You thought. Like a wrinkled thought. Like you didn't understand something I said. Alex. Formally. Marketing. Friends. Good. That one would have been a bit sad. Worth. Wrinkled. Company. Company? How do you not know what the company is? Where are you from? I mean, you can't tell me. I just have to pull the same trick again, but list every place there is. No, I can't see you. Visual would be the wrong word, so I guess... so a see. I just know what you think like, so I know it's you from before. With that thought, I can sort of know what you're thinking. You didn't lice up as much. I said marketing, and there it is. You know that one. Company. Company. See? Nothing. It's like you know the word company, but it's just a word, not a name. When I say the company, you should sit up straighter. We bought out God a few years back. You can't even pray without it going through us first. You really don't know. Okay, I'm confused too, but I'll entertain you. I know you aren't lying. Well, I need to go back farther than I thought. A long time ago, there was a regular company. I mean, it was still massive. The company was never small. We called it Caton Chemical back then. Caton. Caton. Nothing. Okay. We did pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and transportation mostly, but we had our hands in almost everything. We were worth billions of dollars, more year after year, until we didn't really need it anymore. That never really was the point. We had our own research teams, all kinds, very diverse, very inclusive, lots of women, of us too, I assume. I never technically went, but I knew our numbers by heart. One day, they were trying to figure out a new nuclear energy source. The basics were conceptually advanced for me. I mean, I still got by in school, but I didn't even need to cheat. I would have passed anyway, you know, it's advanced, but I can try to simplify it for you. Well, basically, you have point A and point B, and you've fired an atom, probably uranium or something, from one to the other. And it hits a bunch of things along the way which generates energy. It didn't work. It was actually a complete failure. A really embarrassing one for a while. We had a lot of money, but part of having a lot of money is not wasting it, and dealing with a lot of people concerned with idealists not wasting it. The project was on its last legs around the time they hired me. They had 6 months of funding left, with hungry committees talking about making it 6 weeks any day. Well, apparently, even though they couldn't even get a spark to form, they were still moving the thing from point A to point B. The more they looked into it, the more the maths seemed wrong. Massive amounts of electricity were being pumped into it, and it had to be going somewhere, even if some piece of metal just got a little hot. For what they did next, the thought process generally revolved around it being a hole that all the energy must be escaping through, and maybe they could plug it if they could just find it. Problem solved, right? They started trying to shoot the atoms, shorter and longer distances, to see if they could stretch out or shrink the hole. They just wanted something to change, really, something noticeable. No matter what, energy gone, thing moved. So they started using bigger things, which cost a lot more electricity and computing power. Sending something the size of a grain of pollen cost about $4 million. I don't know what that amount might mean to you, but it was very expensive. Okay, that one seemed to get a strong reaction. You clearly understand expensive. Well, when the larger samples went through, they figured out that they were coming through identically. Not all mashed up like you would expect something shot at high speeds. And they used a lot of math and chemistry and physics and came to the conclusion that while they couldn't make energy, they could make the same grain of rice move from one point to another, with the same amount of energy regardless of distance. Somehow they found the escape velocity of the universe. That was in the pamphlets at least. It certainly got them more funding. I mean, how could it not? They invented instantaneous teleportation, and we were about to invest in an airline. After a few years of tinkering, they were able to get that cost down dramatically, which became a very important company goal. The progress went something like you'd expect. Bacteria and worms to know things lived, rats and monkeys to check that it didn't make you insane, and then eventually, poor people to make sure rich people didn't explode. We were used kids after a while, for the safer tests, I promise. No reason medically, they were just cheaper to use. The cost generally went up by level of complexity and size. We couldn't make the test subjects less complex, but we could use smaller subjects. It was just pure cost efficiency. That's all it was. Of course, we ran to the government immediately. I only know this because I have those friends in high places I mentioned, so keep that in mind. This is proof. We ran to the government and told them we invented teleportation, how it worked, everything. The company higher-ups, they knew that if they didn't immediately work with the government, then they could just take it in the interest of national security. It was a good idea. We embedded in the military like a tick. Soon, we were putting little amounts of radiation into terrible people from across the world. Radiation is still physical and simple and small. As long as we knew where they were, we could put just enough of something into them to kill them and not raise any real suspicion. As soon as a leader, a journalist, or whoever became more conveniently dead than alive, dead is what they were. If it were urgent, immediate, they used a bubble of something elemental in the brain. If it was less urgent, radiation made them just kinda get weird cancers. They talked about prions at one point, but I guess they thought it would be suspicious if every target mysteriously got mad cow disease. Of course, kidnappings occurred, all in the name of national security. Terrorists were captured and questioned, and many lives were probably saved. So it's not like we did a bad thing. If anything bad happened, it was because of them, not us. Definitely not me. We kind of became the solution to everything. When you have a teleport gun, everything looks like a teleport bullet. Or, wait, no, a teleport target. How does the phrase go? Whatever. We were expensive. By the time they took over, we had so much control economically, it just made sense for there to be one government. It felt more like a merger. No real invasion, not a military one. All the other countries had already been tailored to be as friendly to us as possible, so hardly anyone put up a fight. Maybe a little fighting from the masses, but most of their own militaries quelled that. We made a fortune on it too. You know, with the rebuilding after the conflicts. If you have a house, we probably made it, and if something makes it inside, we probably manufactured, stored, shipped, and installed it. They didn't really need marketing anymore, if I'm being honest. I was sort of vestigial? I think that's the word. Not that I'm not important. Vestigial doesn't mean not important. It just means I have a lot of free time. I have a lot of friends, though. I've been in the room for all sorts of important meetings. I can see you don't believe me. Okay. If I weren't important, there are some things I wouldn't know that I clearly do. Like, I know how they made it so cheap. You don't know, but I do. They called me in to consult on selling it as a commercial transport for the ultra-wealthy. It was so costly to send a person that the market was really small, and they need help selling it. It all really started with a joke. The leader of the committee said something about how they could only sell it to amputees. I laughed. Not hard, but someone who understood the science did not laugh and started talking very quickly until it was clear that he was actually seriously pitching the idea of not sending all of the person. He wanted to take scans of healthy human bodies and then just go into the computer and alter it cosmetically. After that, we only had to send the brain. Well, more than the brain, the whole nervous system. They tried just the brain a few times, but people started mysteriously losing the ability to play piano. Suddenly, though, we could sell it for about $100,000 a trip. A long way from sending a fleck for $4 million. They loved it too. I made them. The rich found it very appealing, and it became a status symbol to be seen all over the world in a short period of time. After that, people would save up just to be seen doing it. I was there for that very important joke. The one that revolutionized travel. If I were a normal like you, I wouldn't know any of this. I wouldn't know anything. It's proof, undeniable proof. Well, I don't know how exactly you'd verify it, but it makes sense, doesn't it? If it makes sense, it's probably true. I can see that you're still confused. Don't be angry. I know we kind of swapped people's bodies without telling them, but there was no victim. It was painless. There was no damage done. A lot of people felt better afterwards. It was a good thing. Overnight, we cured a lot of diseases. There were a few viral outbreaks that took a good chunk of people, but everyone having the same immune system wasn't our fault. I think that Darwin said survival of the fittest. It was just natural selection. Evolution at work. We obviously fixed it now. The only way I can imagine you don't know about the company you must work for is if you're on a mining or construction project somewhere. You could have been born somewhere the language changed, maybe? You seem to be understanding English well enough. Maybe you just have some loanwords. I hope not. If you're on a project colony, then you already know the amount of raw materials we have to use to keep things moving. Our economy is massive now. We always need more for some big project like a new collider or fleet or a wig project. It's a joke in the company. Something I would only know if I worked there. Talk to someone from the company. They'll confirm it. It meant, what if I could? We also meant it like wick, as in a candle wick. The wax was funds, and the wick was the project that sort of soaked up all the wax to burn it. These projects are really just expensive problems to be solved, with ridiculous sums of money. The construction is still cheaper to do with people, especially at scale. It took longer, but we had no issues with that. We'd won. You might have heard about one of the early investors carving his face into a moon. Not a small one either. He made the whole thing a bust of his head. From orbit, it looked like God with a big G. I think that was maybe his intention. That probably took 10 years to make, 15 to fine-tune. Maintenance is ongoing. Imagine living that much of your life just carving the landscape so it would look like your boss's bottom lip. I hope what you're making is far more interesting, if that is where you are. No shame in it. You probably know that the energy used to move you is still high enough that it's cheaper to use people and keep them in one place for long enough to justify the energy used to send them there. Most of the time, it's a one-way trip. You understand. Because people were so upset about years-long mandatory contracts used to pay back the company for their expense, we went to try and find them a solution. We were already only sending the nervous systems, so to cut costs, we started the replicating parts of the brain that didn't affect personality or memory or noticeable things. That's what a person is, really. Replacing the part that tells you what blue is or controls your bowels, that's like changing a tire, isn't it? They really didn't like that. People were more upset because now we were apparently lobotomizing people and still upset about the long contracts that they were choosing to take. The only alternative was adding things, a side project that had been developing for some time. We actually started offering lucrative contracts, golden tickets, I promise. We gave you a stronger, healthier, maybe less traditionally human body, which could get a lot more done physically in harsh conditions. Then at the end, we just take out the nervous system and put you right back where you belong. I know it sounds strange, but remember that this was to help them. They were deeply in debt. We've had them working on projects you wouldn't believe. The precision someone gets with a tool that is attached directly to the brain. The magazines are going to have a lot of new additions to those rank lists they make. It was worth it. You'll see. A little while later, I was once again brought in to do something that wasn't even my job. I was supposed to speak to the first workers with these optional additions who were about to finish their contracts. I'm marketing, so I didn't understand why I was there. What could I sell them? The other people who talk workers into these contracts had exaggerated how easy it was to undo the additions. The nervous systems they had were different now, and they always had to make little edits to the brain to do certain things with the new electrical parts. They still mostly thought like people, except for the bits that weren't really necessary. Regardless, telling them that it was significantly more expensive to reverse what had been done fell to me. I think I was a bit of a scapegoat, actually. Why would they be mad at me? I didn't do anything. You can imagine how unreasonable they were when we offered to extend their contracts to help pay for their highly personalized treatment. Their expensive treatment. Expensive. Yeah. I see that glowing understanding you have. Actually, they were more than unreasonable. Yeah. Something about what I said made a quadrupedal worker slice off his manager with a laser engraver. Out of nowhere! We noticed some psychiatric issues, but I was told most of them really did seem fine up to this point. Well, word's spread fast to the whole project, and suddenly everyone is very upset. And imagine me, in the middle of a riot, mass murder, no warning. Worst of all, they're all coming for me, just because I broke the news. Shooting a messenger? You don't do that. It's not something civil people do. It was their choice to take on debt. It's not my fault they didn't read the fine print. Obviously, I went to leave. They followed, but I was able to get a few locked doors between me and them. I made it to my transportation and entered my company account with my ID and password, but, and you need to understand this, I'm not the one who's in charge of typing in location data, ever. It's very technical, and someone whose job it is was supposed to type it in. They weren't there, so it wasn't done. I couldn't think straight because the workers were soaring through some of my staff outside, so when I got the error message, I just used an administrator override. It's what anyone would do. Anyone. You would have. I know you would have. That's why you need to help me. If it were you here, I'd do the same for you. I don't even know where I am. You have to help me now, that you know who I am. It's murder if you don't. I mean, I would be using every connection I had to get you out of here, so you need to find someone at the company and tell them you know where I am. They'll be looking. Just repeat everything I said, and they'll figure out you're telling the truth. There's also money. You'll never work again. I can pay you. I can overpay you. You just have to get me out of here. Okay? I hope this isn't hell. I don't think they got through the door. Hell wouldn't be this empty. It wasn't my fault. None of this episode was written, directed, and edited by D.B. Clarke. Alexander Hanley was played by himself. This episode was announced by Alexander Hanley, with musical theme by Onlooker Air, and cover art by OddOblivion. This episode of Black Sheep Shipping is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. Thanks for listening.